Teacher, what has been the outcome of the press gathering by the DA and those other organizations?
Thank you so much, Desiree, and of course, good morning to our viewers. I think the message that came out here is really just one. They're calling upon South Africans to take bold action against the rising fuel price in the country. Of course, we've heard the DA leader, Mr. Mmusi Maimane, really unpacking what he believes is actually the main contributing factor to the fuel price in the country. And he says it is the fuel levy that keeps on increasing, and that is actually where the problem lies. So let's speak to DA leader Mmusi Maimane, where he can just unpack to us why he believes that the problem actually is in the rising levy.
Well, 5.33 rands of the total cost of fuel is government-administered levies, both to the Road Accident Fund coupled with a levy towards the state. And we're simply saying you can't keep continuing financing a state that's increasing and taxing its citizens. So ultimately, we're seeing an increase in cabinet, we're seeing an increase in SOEs. These are affecting motorists on the ground, and our call is quite straightforward. We're simply saying reduce those levies by 20% and ensure that actually we can allow citizens to be able to afford the cost of living. Because at this point in time, if we sit and we simply say let there be an increase in fuel levies, we're already anticipating another increase in the next month. This is a government that needs to be able to respond to our people, and rather than funding the government, let us help citizens.
20%, is that a fair price? Some would say it's too little, taking into consideration that we're already sitting at 16 rands per litre.
Well, what we're looking at is obviously the component of the Road Accident Fund and the fuel levy. People want to argue the fact that we must continue to finance the Road Accident Fund in the manner that we are. We are financing them to simply continue to rent out chairs and declare losses as they did last year. We need a change in this regard, and we're simply saying 20% should be affordable for the state in terms of the Road Accident Funds, and let's take it from there.
Mr. Maimane, we've already heard from President Cyril Ramaphosa indicating that government is working tirelessly to find a lasting solution to the fuel headache in the country. Some, of course, the meetings that he has been having with the ministers in the economic cluster, his visits to some of the oil-rich countries and so forth. Isn't that already an indication that there's effort from government side? Perhaps not a result yet, but they are trying. And are you not just politicizing this issue?
Far from that. The levies that the government has put forward, this is a government that says if there is a problem with citizens, let's tax them even more. Instead of looking inward and saying, let us cut the size of the cabinet, let us ensure that our finances are managed in a way that alleviates the pressure on citizens. Remember, this is not just a question of whether people are getting to work or not getting, or it's a fact that many people are unemployed. It's a fact that in many ways, citizens can't simply be able to run businesses in the most cost-effective way. And this is a simple call. When commodity prices were decreasing, this same government simply put out more levies to increase the fuel levy. And we're simply saying, let us begin now as the people to oppose such action.
Now, I asked you the question earlier. Apart from the international commodity prices that, of course, have a direct influence on the South African fuel price, what else has gone wrong, in your view?
In our view is that when commodity prices were declining and input costs were also declining, South African government made a decision to simply say, let's increase the levies and the Road Accident Fund fees. And those have gone up and are now at 5.33. How is it that other countries in the SADC region can sell fuel at a lower price than what South Africa can? The point simply is, it's all of these taxes that have been increased progressively to finance schemes that are crazy like e-tolls, to ensure that this government can go and put the Road Accident Fund to continue to declare the losses that they are at. Motorists are paying for an incompetent government, and we simply can't accept it.
And your call now is on South Africans from all walks of life to join you on a mass action next week, Tuesday. You planning to shut down the city of Tshwane?
No, we wanted to go down to Treasury and simply say to Treasury, we're demanding a reduction of 20% in these fuel levies so that we can ensure that motorists can, at least in that instance, get a relief. And so we'll be gathering, we're calling all people, religious bodies, taxis, transport people, people who are concerned of all South Africans. Let's gather together and make sure that we send a message to this government.
Just an interesting observation from my side. At first, there were calls to shut down the capital city. Now, you've actually managed it. It's a Church Square, right, to Treasury. Are you not doing that because the DA is now actually in charge of the capital city?
No, we want a peaceful protest. We want a peaceful protest that is orderly. I don't want to find ourselves in a situation where the message is about other things. The message is always about, let's fight for the people. Let's beat the people of South Africa. It's a peaceful march. Let South Africans gather together so we can communicate this message.
All right. Thank you so much. There we have it, of course, with the DA leader, Mr. Mmusi Maimane, just unpacking the plans that they collectively plan to take against, of course, the rising fuel prices in the country. Let's also get a reaction from the city of Tshwane. As you know, this action that is planned for next week, Tuesday, will be taking place here in the heart of the capital city. I'm now joined by Mr. Norman Mohale. He is a representative of the city of Tshwane that has been engaging with the local taxi industry that will also be part of this mass march for next week, Tuesday. Just bring us into the picture, the voice from the taxi industry.
Well, in our interaction with the taxi bosses or associations, mainly NTA and Santaco, they've obviously indicated to us that due to these petrol hikes, they've had to increase prices. Obviously, they absorb half of the actual increase, and the other half they pass on to their clients. So you will understand that it has not only brought pressure on them as a business, but also brought pressure onto their clients. It is for this reason that they've communicated with us and committed that they will definitely support the march, but not only support the march, also participate in that march.
Okay. And is the city of Tshwane ready to accommodate the march come next week, Tuesday?
The city is very much ready.
Now, first, as I also asked Mr. Maimane here, we heard talks about shutting down the city of Tshwane, and we also heard stronger threats coming from the taxi industry. And it seems a bit soft now, managed to a large extent. Is it perhaps because the DA is in charge in the capital city? They don't want to deal with the chaos that might come from shutting down the capital city.
Well, I will speak for the city of Tshwane. Obviously, being the government, it is not in the city's interest to have a very chaotic march. We will not support that kind of behavior and conduct. It is for that reason that we've engaged all the stakeholders and advised that should things go wrong, people should take responsibility. So I'm not sure about the party stance regarding shutting down city of Tshwane, but from the city's point of view, it is not in our interest to have a chaotic march.
All right. Thank you so much. There, of course, Mr. Norman Mohale from the city of Tshwane, just indicating that the city is ready for next week's mass march that, of course, will strive to show resistance against the rising fuel price in the country. There, of course, the DA leader just confirming and emphasizing that he feels that they're not politicizing the matter. It is not a DA matter, but it is a matter that is affecting all South Africans, especially the grassroots majority who are perhaps feeling the pinch of all the other prices that are going up as a result of the high fuel prices in the country. So, of course, we will monitor the developments until next week, Tuesday, to see how everything is developing and who else will be putting their voice to this march and, of course, stand in support of it. And how many South Africans, especially in the capital city, will be coming out in their numbers to put their feet down against the high fuel price in the country. For now, it's back to you in the studio.
Thank you so much there to Patricia Fasaki. She's correct. We will be following that story to see how much support and impact it garners. Let's